Hi, it's Dawn Isenhower with Sibcy, Cline Realtors. This is Adventures in Real Estate, and today our guest is Gary Karg. I used to call him the king of the open house when we worked in our office together. He's now a trainer here at corporate Sibcy Cline, but still the reigning king of the open house. So thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
It's a thrill. This ought to be really good. Some good information here. So first of all, Gary, what is an open house?
Really, an open house allows an owner and the selling listing agent to allow that house to be shown to the general public without an appointment. So the listing agent is on the premises. They allow any and all to be in that house during a set time. So if it's set up from 1 until 3 on Sunday, that's when the public is allowed to come through the house. Usually that listing agent or the listing agent and another agent will be on the premises. And why they're trying to do is allow people to see the house. You do not need to necessarily have an appointment. We welcome appointments with another realtor if they want to have their realtor go through with that buyer, but you do not need that as part of the showing during that day. So it's always set, it's always available for you to know when that's going to happen. And it's great because it allows people to kind of experience a house, maybe a neighborhood, maybe a school system they're interested in, maybe something that they've always been interested in, but it allows them to at least get some exposure into real estate. Sometimes we find that during the time that the agent will get a chance to answer questions for the buyers that come through, or if the agent that's representing that buyer comes through, they can also get some of their questions answered as well.
So I've had a lot of people make remarks that open houses are just for agents to pick up more buyers and sellers, that it really has nothing to do with selling the house. But I found in my experience that there are just some houses that will only sell during an open house.
Absolutely.
So what is your opinion about this? What are the benefits to sellers and buyers?
Well, I think, when you look at it, a lot of times they always say that an agent conducts an open house because it's so that they can garner more buyers, okay? And that's a fine assessment, and it's not fully true.
Right.
I have sold many houses when the sellers allowed us the permission to do an open house. It markets the house further for that seller. It allows people that are just entering the market, maybe they're not represented yet, maybe they're interested in a certain type of house, price range, neighborhood, community, school, whatever it is, it allows them to softly go in and see the house that's being represented by the seller. So I think it's a great way for them to do it. I think it's also important for neighbors, because neighbors oftentimes are thinking about entering the market. The seller opens their house, the neighbor comes over, they get a chance to also see what's going on as far as the community for which they live in. I think another thing that I see oftentimes the seller doesn't realize is about 15% of the time when I have an open house, I sell that house.
Right.
So if you're going to say no to open houses as an owner or a seller, I think you're, really pulling in, if you will, to not maximize the opportunity for a lot of people or a lot more people to see the house that potentially could increase the offer, could increase the amount of offers you get, and potentially allow that house to be sold in a quick, orderly fashion. If that seller also wants, they can potentially have an offer coming in. They do an open house, and that, what I find, is we oftentimes get backup offers during open houses. What's great for the seller is that's an insurance policy. If that offer that's coming in just as we do that open house is almost there, or it has been agreed to, an insurance policy which I really like is, if that for some odd reason fails, that first contract, if that open house creates a backup offer, that backup offer becomes all of a sudden the number one offers, no matter what the price is, no matter what the contingencies are. And it really is an insurance policy that seller doesn't have to go back to square one.
Right.
They immediately go right into, first one didn't work, the next one's up, you're in, you negotiate that through, and everything's set. So I really think there's some great benefits for the seller to oftentimes do an open house. And it's not just for the agent. I think it's really great for the owners and the sellers to expose their house to maximum opportunity to get the price they want, or maybe even a better price they want, with more contracts, more offers, and more people seeing it, just by simply open the house for a couple of hours, or even an hour for that matter, on a day when other people want to come see it.
Right.
As far as the buyer goes, I think when people are entering the market, particularly first-time home buyers, sometimes they hesitate because it's such an amazing, major thing that they're doing. They're scared, they're a little bit anxious, they don't understand the process, and as we call it in our house, you're adulting. All of a sudden you become, you're making this major financial commitment, you're making a community involvement, and you're moving your assets and your family or that individual to a community. And as a buyer, you get a chance to see the house without bringing in an agent, because maybe you don't have an agent yet.
That's true.
And if that's the case, you still get the full visual of a house that maybe might fit your needs. If that's the case, we move forward with it. If not, at least you have had a chance to observe what happens during an open house, what happens, if you will, during a showing of real estate. And what happens then is we meet people at open houses. I have oftentimes been interviewed, and I have created a relationship with a potential buyer that I've never met before, that's scared or concerned or just doesn't have the connections yet to go and say, I need a real estate agent to help me through this process from step one to the end. I mean, the real estate transaction is 204 steps. And that's an NAR statistic. That's not, me coming up with one or somebody else to say 204 steps.
Right.
There's a lot of steps that are behind the scenes that realtors do, that lenders do, appraisers, home inspectors, but there's a lot of process from the start of choosing a house until the final contract is, conveyed and the keys are given, and you start your new life making memories in that house. So that's a lot of steps. A lot of people don't know what those steps are unless you are a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
So the buyers can, oftentimes interview, experience, get to know their knowledge, see if they're comfortable with them, see if the family's comfortable with them, and then move forward from that standpoint.
And it's very soft and
Yes.
it's very comfortable.
And no high pressure. You can go in, leave, and I oftentimes have found they're a little bit more relaxed once they get there. It's not, okay, I need to see this house. I've never met you before. Can you show it to me? Versus you walk in the door, oftentimes other people are there.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of takes the direct pressure off. If there's an agent or two agents, which sometimes does happen, because of the volume, what can happen there is they might like one of the agents and they might like the other agent better. Maybe it's whatever, all right? And it allows them to interview those agents, get to know them, and possibly move forward with the process, which, let's be honest, it's not easy, it's very doable, but you need professionals, and you need a professional agent to help you.
Very true. So we know how important they are. We know that they're great for marketing. They bring more traffic, and they get the buyer just a better experience. So because things are slowed down, but unfortunately, the market just doesn't let us slow down.
Right.
Because your process when you were an active agent was that you did research, you checked these properties out, you tried to do 3 of them a weekend or
Right.
on a single day even.
Right.
The market has just made the open house a much different animal now. It's really just done this pivot in the middle of everything. So it's hard to send out the cards ahead of time, and it's hard to go door knock with the neighbors. It's harder to do all of that groundwork that really should be done for a successful open house. And now we've just turned that on its head. So what do you think of all this? The open house transforming from just the Sunday experience or the Saturday experience to that it's going live Thursday, and Thursday night we're in there and there are tons of people all over the place. So what are your thoughts on how things have changed and the pace and how fast it is now versus before?
I mean,
the inventory situation.
We live in the United States. It's supply and demand. Price, oftentimes plays it. But because there are so few homes that we see that are available right now, the open house is a nice vehicle to gain extra exposure. Now, as an agent and as a person that trains other agents, what I try to do oftentimes is get the seller to kind of help us, if you will, slow a little bit of the pace by coming soon. All right.
Yes.
In my opinion, the coming soon is a fabulous vehicle.
I love it.
Yes. And we pre-market it.
Yes.
We get the appointments set up before the house goes live. People get to experience what that house is. If you are late into the market that week, because a lot of times our market is less than 7 days. If somebody else in the neighborhood or somebody else in that same price range, school system, community has also put a house on, you get to enter it and get to be a part of making someone else pause on that other sale. I want to see both houses before I make that commitment.
Right.
So that coming soon allows it to still be fast. I mean, when it's still a 7 to 10 day market at the max.
Right.
But a lot of times I will talk to my owners and sellers. Why don't we set the contract up Monday morning for coming soon? Go through till Monday, or go through till Friday or Saturday when we actually go live with appointments. All the appointments are set up. You know what kind of volume you're going to get. And it makes it a little less crazy for everybody, including you, the owner. Then, if an offer does come through, it doesn't come through until a lot of people have had a chance to look at the house, and then you're going to maximize oftentimes what you're going to get for that house. If that house goes and there is a contract offered on Friday night or Saturday when things go live, that in coming soon is the only time you can write a contract is after the property has, and that's a strict rule by the MLS, is that if buyers then come through on Sunday or Saturday at an open house, that's where we get the backup offers. That's where we get the potential of saying, thanks for coming to the open house. This house went under contract just this morning. You're welcome to see the house. If it's something you like, we can always discuss it. So it allows you to be ethical in saying, hey, it does say active, but the house just went pending. However, if it works and it's something you still like or you're very interested in seeing it, you can always write a backup offer. And let me explain the backup offer to you as a new buyer, how that would work in potentially becoming the person that wins the house. In a limited inventory market like we are in, it's a strategy that I really feel more buyers should employ, because I had 4 deals last year go from we didn't win because of the way the market went, but because we were the backup offer, we eventually won those 4 deals eventually. So it benefited my buyer, it benefited the seller doing an open house, and it was an insurance policy that they needed to sell that house.
Right. Because the decisions have to be made very quickly, and some people are making them a little too quickly.
Right. Buyer's remorse is a tough thing in real estate. It really is. It's never nice, but it does happen.
So a lot of times I've watched the market just kind of do different things over the last 15 years, and it's so funny how the open house has been something that you don't want to do, and then it turned into something that you definitely want to do, and then it's turned into something that is not necessary anymore. And with regard to some agents, but when I think of you and how much you love them and how much time and preparation you put into them, you're right. It's always a vehicle to get more traffic. It's always another marketing opportunity. It's always is an opportunity to get that offer, to get someone off the fence, or to get that backup offer. So they're very, very important.
Yes.
In terms of getting all that traffic in. So what are some of the things that you would do? Because I know sellers are kind of concerned about safety for their home, and I know as agents we are too.
Right.
So we'll just finish off by talking about some of the things that we do as agents to make sure that while all of this is going on,
right,
and while the house is being actively marketed, we still maintain safety and getting people in and out in an orderly fashion, so that things look beautiful and stay beautiful, and personal property is safe, and so are the sellers.
I think it's important before you have that open house that the agent and the owners of the house have a frank discussion about what is going to occur during the open house. So if you can do that in the house and kind of go through the house to say that needs to be put away, that needs to be locked up, that needs to be in a place with you and not in or part of the general public's exposure. So a lot of times we see things as agents that maybe the owner of the house just finds that as part of their life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now
they don't even notice it.
Yes, and that it becomes neutralized, and we as agents are sensitized to it, and we know that there are things that are appealing, tempting, or just it would be in the best interests of everyone. The owners, the buyers coming through, the general public, and the agent or agents that are there. If that agent notes from the seller or owners that there's a anticipation or nervousness about the open house, they can always offer up another agent to join them. Okay?
That's a smart strategy.
Right. And I think it's important for safety for the agent. I think it's an important thing to employ as far as the marketing, because if there's more than several at the same time, and because of limited inventory, we have that.
It happens.
Right. That an agent is only, they can only do so much. They can't immediately clone themselves. So if they have a second agent there, it works very well for both agents, and I think it works for the homeowner as well. But what I like to do is I like to start off with, if there are guns in the house, okay, and more than 50% of all homes do have guns.
That's true. Yep.
It's not just to have the guns without ammunition in them or locked up. They should be put away. Mm-hmm. They should be locked, they should be unloaded, and they should be locked up so no one can access those during the open house, the public showing. The other thing I find that really has been very positive is I will oftentimes go into the bathrooms or the bedrooms, and it might be the primary bedroom, it might be the extra bedrooms in the house, it might be the basement bedroom, wherever it is, and just assess as a real estate agent that there are pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
That are in the house. And it could be as simple as aspirin to something as, the person might be of need of Oxycontin. Whatever it is, all those things are pharmaceuticals, over the counter or prescription, that we as homeowners don't want anybody to be tempted with.
Right.
It could be a child. It could be, someone that decides that they want to take possession of something that's the homeowner's. So with that case, both over the counter, it could be as simple as an antihistamine, decongestant aspirin, to very strong pharmaceuticals. We want to make sure that all those things are taken out of the cabinet, taken off the nightstand, not in the drawers that aren't locked,
right,
and moved to a safe place. Another thing we oftentimes see is there'll be jewelry, all right? Simple brooches, simple antique jewelry, something of value that's really the value to the owner, but maybe somebody in the general public might not think it's value, but maybe they do. So we want to make sure that valuables such as jewelry, change, dollars. I also encourage people to take their bills
True.
and put those away, because
Very
bills
true.
have account numbers.
They do.
They used to have social security numbers, but don't have your tax records in a file in the office in the house. And we've all gone to having offices at our house now. COVID really created a lot of that. So make sure those files are also locked up and not available for someone to peruse through or look at, take pictures, etc. So oftentimes recommend that. There are things that are in our children's bedrooms too that are very important to that child, that we don't want another child to also,
Right.
say, oh, that stuffed
super
animal,
tempting.
yeah, that looks great. Or, so whatever it is, put that away. If there's a special food, that might be prescription food, it might be, something that, your child is taking, also lock that up. But, work with your agent, work with your two agents to peruse the house before, and then just 15 minutes before the open house, just have everyone go through for a quick check. The owner is to move the stuff, not the agent. All right?
Right. Exactly.
I think that's really important, but the agent might allow them to know that that's probably something we ought to put away.
Yeah.
All right. And then the owner of the house either takes it with them as they leave the house, or locks it up, or puts it in a very secure spot that no one can touch, that's there for the general public.
Very good advice on safety and just making sure that your possessions in your home is safe. Well, I thank you so much for
My
spending
pleasure.
time with us today. I was really excited about
No, it's
this.
great
It's
to
always
have you.
great to see you.
Always a pleasure.
If you have any questions about this topic or any other, feel free to contact me or give me a call at 513-236-1254. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.